Hi everyone and welcome to There's a Workshop for That. I'm Nati Revez, your host and the founder of La Workshoppers. If you are as passionate as I am in the power of facilitation, you are in the right place. On this podcast, experts in the field join me to share their experiences, insights, and practical tips. So whether you're a seasoned facilitator or simply curious about how well-designed and facilitated workshops can transform teams and organizations, this podcast is for you. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any episode. And if you like what you hear, please give it a 5-star on your podcast app. So now, sit back, relax, and let's dive into today's topic and meet our guest. Let's go! Hey everyone, welcome back to There's a Workshop for That. Today we are diving into a topic that every facilitator, leader, and team member needs to understand: the invisible dynamics of teams. What's that? We will talk about it, its consequences, and how to handle this as a facilitator. Because yet we often focus only on what's happening inside the room without considering the unseen forces at play. To help us navigate this, I'm thrilled to welcome Wouter Gheysen to the show. Wouter is the CEO and founder of Out of Our Minds, a systemic business reinvention agency based in Belgium. He will tell us a bit about his journey and his mission to help leaders build future-ready organizations. And he will share, of course, with us his expertise in uncovering hidden team dynamics and transforming them into strength. I'm very happy to welcome you, Wouter, because you reach out to me to talk specifically about this topic, and I just love it. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Nati. Happy to be here and talk about the hidden forces in teams. So looking forward to it.
Well, maybe this will be our title, The Hidden Forces in Teams. You have a nice accent, a little bit different from mine. Where are you from?
I'm from Belgium. I'm living currently in Ghent, Dutch part of Belgium.
Okay.
So that's where I'm living.
And would you mind to start our little conversation and tell us more about you and what kind of roles you had and how you came to facilitation?
That's a great question. Actually, I graduated as an engineer and did a lot of consulting jobs. I also got like a second master in economical science in human resource management. And I think my journey has always been combining different stuff, different angles, like engineering, IT, HR. And I always worked mainly in IT environments. And for the last 7 or 8, 9 years, getting a bit old, I've been working as a Scrum Master. And there, as a Scrum Master, is kind of like a team coach, working with 2 or 3 teams, where I guide them in the agile way of working. And there we have lots of ceremonies, like the daily stand-up and the retrospective. So that's why the need for facilitation became really big. And of course, I did it before, some workshops, some small facilitation here and there. But really to guide a team, to take a team on a journey, I needed more background, more theory, more exercises. And that's actually where my journey in facilitation really started. So then I took some master classes. I did, like, for example, the design sprint of AJ Smart, and now a part of the Facilitator Pro community. Yeah, to really understand what teams need to have like good decisions and to really have fast, energetic gatherings or meetings rather than the typical meetings where the only outcome is the agenda for the next meeting. Yeah, that's not really helpful. And that's why actually my journey in facilitation started.
Very nice. And you just said, okay, you took some masterclass and you fill in your toolkit after with exercises, with methodology, with tools. And I'm sure you also learned how to facilitate in the room. But in our last conversation, we talked a lot about what is happening before coming in the room, what is happening that can influence what will happening in the room. And we talked about these unseen forces in teams. What are they, these unseen forces? of team dynamics?
Yes. Well, when I started facilitation, I was mainly focusing on like the outcome. We
Yeah.
have a problem, or we need, for example, a design sprint. We need to weigh new prototype. And what I noticed is we spent like a few days together. We defined an outcome and then nothing happened. There was an idea, nothing happened. And I was already working with systemic field. I discovered it in like 2008. Also wrote a master thesis on using constellations in HR. And then I started to understand, okay, or to look at teams differently. Imagine we all know like the metaphor of the iceberg, where we have a visible part, but there's also a part under the water.
Mm-hmm.
And that part has an influence and impact on what is visible. So what I noticed while working with teams is you can have like very high potential people in your team, but still as a team, they don't deliver anything. There's lots of hassle, lots of fuss, rumors. People don't talk with each other. And that made me start like thinking, okay, what's going on here? Because we have very competent people, but the team is not competent. And by looking at those team dynamics, you could really understand, okay, what's going on. And an easy example, for example, is somebody of the team has just a breakup with his boyfriend or girlfriend, and he brings those kind of feelings to the team. So everyone sees, oh, he's feeling sad. And then it starts, oh, what should we do? Should we talk with him or do we leave him alone? So you feel immediately that an event outside of the team has an impact on the team. And that's one example that's quite easy to solve. After a few days, it goes away. I mean, they see the light again, that there's other fish in the sea, things like that. But there's also other elements like trauma or early child stress or family patterns of the team members, which might influence the team or an organization. So, and that's why that was one of the triggers to really start diving deep into the systemic work, to bring those patterns to make them visible so that the people can see, okay, what's really going on. And there are a few principles in systemic work. Actually, there are the four main ones. The first is like belonging. Everyone belongs to something. From a family, we all belong to a family. We have a father, we have a mother. Either they are still visible or alive or not, but we still have them. And that's also in a team. Where are the team borders? Mm-hmm. Who is belonging to the team? And rationally can feel that, for example, if you do a team building, who do you invite? Only the core team or also the secretary who plans stuff for the team? Is she part of the team or not? And the moment that becomes fuzzy, things started to happen, like there was a team building and I was not invited. How come? And it's those kind of dynamics that make teams getting stuck, not living to their optimal potential. And these are kind of the hidden dynamics that everyone feels, but nobody sees it.
Yeah, absolutely. Ignoring these team dynamics can have a costly impact. Do you had some clear situation where leaders came to you because a team was not really working, or this is something that you took from yourself on to tackle because you wanted your workshops and the work you are doing to be effective?
It both ways. One, it's also becomes, I'm also having patterns. I also have trauma parts. So this also things for myself that I've found I'm running against something, so I have to look at it.
Yeah.
But I also have clients, and to give a really nice example, it was last year, the year before, where I worked with a food processing company. Mm-hmm. And the management team and the CEO, there were always discussions in the meetings. People always complaining and about the sales director, about the way of working. And I came in, I had first an systemic interview with the CEO. And what we discovered was really surprising was the CEO his life was arranged by his mother, so to speak. His mother chose his studies, even the wife he married. They lived with his mother for a long time. So his mother had really a huge influence on his life. So he was actually putting himself not as an adult, but either as an unconscious child next to his mother. Mm-hmm. And then we had the sales director whose father died when he was 10. And he had to step in on the place of his father. taking up or making money for the family to make sure that they survive. So you had that amazing dynamic because somebody, CEO, playing more the child role, while the sales director was putting himself above the CEO. And one of the other principles of systemic work is the order. The boss comes first, then the other people, and then the people on the floor. And that's not good or bad, it's just a contribution level. But then you have like a switch in orders. And so the moment that the CEO understood that or saw that pattern visible, because we used papers, and I'm going to explain later how we can do that. And when he noticed that, he really felt, oh, that's the problem. He is always saying, I'm doing bad things. The sales director was always feeling better than the CEO. So we did some interventions there to really rectify that, to put the people back in order. And the funny thing was, the next day I worked with the CEO and the management team, and I asked them, okay, take your place in the room like you feel. Where would you put yourself? And immediately the sales director went standing behind the CEO. It's like, oh, I'm bigger than the CEO. And then that moment, like everything clicked for the CEO. Okay, there's the pattern. And then we worked with it. So to make sure that everyone is standing on his place, because when we criticize somebody, we tend to put ourselves above the other.
Yeah.
And then, you get hassle and fuss and things are not going well in the team and the organization. So this is really an example of something that very fast is made visible, something that everyone had an impact of, but didn't know where it came from.
And it was not really by purpose, if I understand well.
No. It's really unconscious unconscious behavior where people do things because of their past, because of family patterns. And now this is something on people level, but there was another company where they were a premium brand. So they were selling at high prices. But the moment when the sales director or sales manager tried to sell the products and the client said, no, you're way too expensive, unconsciously, they sold their products at the cheapest price. So they thought they were a premium brand, but unconscious, they were the cheapest brand in the market. But they didn't know that. There was just like we did it once, but actually there was a pattern which they didn't see. And if you're a premium brand, you also have higher costs. Packages are more expensive. But if you sell it at the lowest price, it has an impact on your revenue, on your cost model, on the business model. So the moment that I brought that to in the visibility, they really understand, actually we are the cheapest of the market. And these are the kind of patterns that people, not see, but those things are going on in the organization. And that has an impact on the performance, of course.
It's so interesting because you are doing what I was doing in the past as a consultant in organizational development, right? So all this work that you are talking about, these two examples of clients, this was in this kind of services, organizational development, right?
Yeah.
And you have to create a safe space to be able to bring these people, these individuals, we are at work, we are in positioning themselves in their roles and responsibilities, but you are touching things that are more close to psychology, right? So you have to be very close to the people to go into this conversation and recognize the pattern. How do you do that?
That's really, it's all about feeling what is possible, also have respect. Because indeed, if you work with a team, I work with a team, not with the individual people. Yeah. Like, for example, if there's a manager who is micro-controlling everything, I feel I can explore where that's coming from, but I'm not going to do that in the team. If it's really important, then I will mention him. Okay, maybe you can see somebody else, or we can do it in a private session. But it's really about the safety is really important, and it's the impact on the team. So I'm not going to blame any person. It's just, okay, we have a manager who is micro-controlling everything. How can we deal with that? How can we deal with the team to address that problem rather than putting somebody really on the spot and saying, okay, it's his fault or it's her fault. No, it's really, this is a situation. It comes from the family. It's a pattern. How can we deal with it? And the biggest part is also because it's a lot of embodied work, intuitive work. It's most people are really like in their head, very rational.
Yeah.
And it's quite a journey. And I really take small steps to guide them. Okay, how can we start feeling how we experience things? And it also helps, like, for example, to say, okay, I'm an engineer. I was very rational, but I discovered the rest of my body. I'm more into feeling now. And then they feel, okay, it's not somebody who is very spiritual or he knows the background. So that also builds trust with the people. And it's all about respecting them where they are, make sure that they are all included, they all belong. And that's actually the biggest part to feel, because if I feel something in the room, and I think many facilitators will also recognize that, if you feel something, the chance is big that somebody else in the team or the audience you're working with also have the same feeling.
Yeah.
And then you address it, you can talk about it, you bring it to the table, and then you can do something with it.
Okay, so tell me, how do you bring this to the table? Are you reacting or are you proactive?
Proactive is both ways. Systemic work is about holistic. You take everything into account. What you see, what you notice is the reality at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's not what should be, but really, if you see something that's reality and then you take steps with it. And also you see everything is interconnected. And an exercise that I always like to start with is I just take a piece of paper. I wrote team on it,
Mm-hmm.
and I put it in the room. And then I ask every participant, try to find your place in relation to that representant of team. So that the paper represents the team. Try to find your place. And people, most of them are really rational. It's like, whoa, what should I do? How does it work? And then it's like, okay, it's just an experiment. Try to find a place, follow your feet and see where you end up. And then you see that when they found their place, somebody might be close to the team. Somebody might be standing further. I have people who said, I want to get out. And this is all information. After that, when everyone found a place, I asked them, how do you feel there? And some people might say, okay, I feel really powerful. I feel connected with the team. While others will say, actually, I want to look the other way. I feel no connection with the team. And that brings already quite a lot of information on where people are towards the team. And there's no judgment. It's not because you feel overwhelmed by the team that it's bad or good, but it's all information in the sense to work with and for the people to understand, okay, I never looked at this way. Actually, I'm already out of the team, or this team is bringing me a lot of joy. And that's really starts the discussion on a very low level.
Mm-hmm.
And it's what I found difficult with working with teams is if you follow the rational road, is to ask, how are you? How do you feel in the team?
Mm-hmm.
Most people are then a bit scared. Can I say it? Should I say it? How can I please the people? While with that visual map that you create, everyone can see where you are. And that's like an additional layer of information that you get.
Yeah, it's really a visual, human-made team mapping in the room, right?
Yeah, indeed. And very easy to do. And an exercise that I really like to do
I really like
with
it.
new teams.
Yeah, I really, really, really like it. A very short interruption here to bring you some exciting news. If you are tuning in on release day of this podcast, March 20th, and you are in London, lucky you! Tomorrow, 21st, the Inclusive Facilitation Exchange is happening in London, Shoreditch. This is a non-profit event dedicated to advancing inclusive facilitation and learning design with a strong focus on neuro-inclusion. It's organized by two amazing women I have the great pleasure of hosting on my podcast, Jenny Martin and Jane Livesey. I'll be there along with an incredible lineup of facilitators and speakers, including Jan Kek, Daniel Saucer, and Mosing Lemon. There are still seats available. So if you're around, come join us. Head over to www.inclusivefacilitationexchange.com to grab your spot. And here's a little bonus. Use the discount code NATI10 to get 10% off your ticket. That's not all. I'm sticking around in London a bit longer to to get eVive Stalwart certified. Now, if you're wondering what eVive is, it is a powerful game-based learning experience designed to help teams develop collaboration and strategy and decision-making skills. To learn more, check out eVive.com and watch the video from Mozim. It's much better. Mozim is the founder of eVive.
Hi, I just wanted to put a little video together to just tell you about why I've invited you to this certification program. And I have a few reasons. The first one, primarily, is that eVive is a leadership development tool in the hands of facilitators who know what they're doing. It can be a really, really powerful tool. It's built on the AFR model, which is a neuroscience model I wrote about, which was published and acknowledged by Stanford University, among many other facilitators from the industry. Another reason is that the tool allows you to bring a lot more value to the services that you currently already offer. So anything that you're doing with your clients, you'd be able to charge more for your services, for the deliveries, and you'd be able to bring more value to them because you'd be able to offer reports that are deeply insightful, that emerge from gameplay mechanics of how players behaved and interacted with each other. So sense making of these reports becomes really important, which is one of the things that we cover in the certification program. And the last part of it is, of course, to expand your network and meet other facilitators who are doing meaningful work in this area. If you have questions about it, or if you are unclear or anything that you are not sure about, feel free to ask me. I'd be more than happy to tell you more about it and give you a strong proposition understanding of why eVive is a great tool for you to learn and integrate into your current offerings and your services.
This certification is happening on March 24 and 25 in London Heathrow. And if you'd like to join me, I've got, of course, another exclusive 40% discount for you. Just use the code NATTYEVIVE40 at checkout. You'll find the direct link in the show notes. And now, back to our episode. Okay, and how do you navigate this after?
Yeah. So like I already said, I don't work on individual level with the team. So on individuals, it's really about the team. And if we notice, for example, and most of the time, I will already during the intake have heard there are issues like with trust or communication. And from that moment on, what I then do are like constellations. Mm-hmm. And with the constellation, it's again a visual map where people represent an element. For example, element the team, element trust, or the organization. And I also place them in the room. And we start asking how do they feel. And now it looks very spiritual, but people who experience family constellations might recognize that. By representing an element or a person, you tap into what they called like the quantum field, an energetic field. And now, I'm realizing it's quite spiritual or strange to talk about that. But remember, I'm an engineer, so I also have my 2 feet on the ground. But for some kind of reason, we get additional information. And by working with that information, for example, the trust element has always been there. And then we can look back where in the organization has there been in the past a trust issue. Mm-hmm. For example, somebody trusted the boss and the promise or the agreement didn't stand and something happened, kind of trauma, that can still have an impact on the later phase of the organization. And by going back to that element, recognize it, include it, then people can, or the teams can move on. An example of that, which is really sad, there was a company where they had lots of trucks, and some truck drivers were playing on the parking with their trucks. Mm-hmm. And somebody died because he was hit by a car.
Oh, okay.
A terrible accident, and the whole company tried to keep that really silent, didn't talk about anymore. But at every meeting, that element always popped up because it's part of the organization. It was not recognized, not honored. So it's always, came back it's also a bit like when you have a family gathering and some person is never invited. A lot of conversations are talking about that person. So things that always pop up again. And the moment that you include those kind of events, the energy can flow again and the trust issues can be dissolved and people can move on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is very important to communicate about it. This was one of the reasons I left one of the last companies. I was not the very last, but the one before, because someone died in the company and the organization didn't react at all. And this person died during the working day in the company. And I couldn't accept that this silence. It was not really about me. It was really feeling that the people who were concerned, the people who were working with this person every day, nobody gave them the time or to process what happened. And it was for me unacceptable to not say something and just put the notice on the wall that this person died. You know, for me, it was a trauma that even if I didn't know this person very well, but it was like showing me how this organization is reacting. And this is a shame. And I really think that these kind of things can be addressed, even if it's just giving the time to the employees and make them feel that this is okay if they need 1 or 2 days, or that we are all very sad, or that we make something together. You know what I mean? So this is something that really resonates with me now. I'm sorry, I was not supposed to talk so much about my experience.
No.
It was like, I know this. I knew this. Yeah. So
yes, but because these are things that really resonate. And what also comes out is like the kind of patterns. Because I had another company where 2-3 founders started the company and they kicked one of the founders out. They stole like the company. And a few years later, all their clients or partly of their clients were like stolen by an employee who left the company and started his own business. And they were super upset by it. There was like going to court. And then it's like, but it's just the same pattern that you did. So, and that's like always those patterns coming back. And when you make them visible, then you can really take action on it, because then you understand better, where it's coming from.
Yeah. So what are you are doing this kind of works with teams. I find it really fascinating. Our listeners are facilitators. It means maybe they are not working in organizational development, but they are doing other kind of workshops. So being aware that you have a group in the room and there are hidden forces here and you have to uncover and navigate it during your sessions. Do you have any other tips how you can navigate your session?
Yeah, there are a few tips. First, I want to address not all facilitation is about the deeper issues. Sometimes it's just about finding a new product. But if it's really like, there's some frustration and some tension, a good question to ask always is like, what's this symptom the solution for? Meaning, is it actually a distraction, or are we going to the real core? So it can be an organization, we're going to create a new product. Is that product really something which is a conscious decision, or is it something that it distracts us to say we are busy with something new while not really looking at the core problem of the other thing? So this question really helps. What's this symptom a solution for? Because more on a personal level, it can be that people are not speaking up during facilitation workshops or during meetings, is because in the past somebody spoke up and they got bullied or so. So this is then kind of pattern that is going on. Another really nice exercise that I like to do is when facilitators are asked to do a workshop, is to upfront before they start, do like also kind of systemic mapping to find their place. Because you see that more with interim managers, that they are hired to do a certain kind of job that people don't want to do in the organization. Like the people who are hired, I think there's even a movie on it, who are hired to fire people.
Yeah.
Because then the organization can say, it's not us who fired you, it's that guy. And in such kinds of assignments, when I feel like there's something happening in my body, I'm feeling strange or nervous, then I do a small constellation with myself. And that's just me, the assignment, the company, and maybe the person who hired me. I just map them. I can, for example, use mugs, and then the handle is like the kind of direction I'm looking. And I just explore, where is my place? Is my place, for example, with the team, or do I need to stand next to the manager who hired me? Because that has a different position.
Yeah.
And that's also something that I noticed during the assignments a few years ago. I was hired to solve issues, but I thought my place would be next to the hiring manager, while I should have been at the team side. And the team was then looking at me as the extension of the manager, while the manager thought I would change the team. So that was a whole confusion of roles. And by just mapping that exercise up front, you can feel, okay, where is my position? Should be more neutral? Am I with the team? Or, what's my position? And it's really surprisingly how fast you can find, okay, it's more relaxed with the team, more in the middle, or more neutral. And that's really a nice way to start the assignment, to find, to start with a neutral view.
Yeah, I think I'm just thinking on another idea with this constellation. When you ask the people where they stand to the team with the paper, if you are making a workshop for team building, you could ask him what would be the ideal constellation for this team, and then people would place together. I could really imagine that they are placing themselves as a circle around the team, for example, I don't know. Yeah. And then starting to ask, okay, this is the picture before, this is the picture after. How can we now navigate to get to the second picture? And this is what we will find out during our next session, for example.
Yeah, then that's a really good idea. And there also, if you have like a team and a manager in the room, often the manager will stand with his team because we are all friends, we like each other, but the manager is not part of the team. He is outside of the team, which can also be a bit lonely. So that's why he's like longing to become part of the little family. And there you also see like the kind of differing roles. It's also something that you notice when somebody from a team is promoted to become the manager. That's a different vibe.
Yeah.
And making it visible with Constellation really helps to understand, okay, I'm a manager now. I can still like the people, but I'm not part of the team anymore. I should create my own team with other managers. And those kind of dynamics really help to settle the peace in the teams. And make it really a good team.
Nice. Thank you so much, Wouter. I could continue to discuss now for hours because because of one exercise you did, I have a lot of ideas in my head, and I will write them directly after our recordings in my little book. This is a great exercise that you gave it, and so much insights about what you are doing. Really love it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. It's nice to hear.
And your company name is Out of Our Minds. And if you want to reach out to Wouter, I will make all the information, of course, in the show notes. And I know that he is also navigating some communities. I saw you in the Agent Smart Community Facilitator Club, I think.
It was Workshopper, and they rebranded it to Workshop Facilitator Pro, I think. They change it quite often.
Yeah. So if you need some tips or anything, you can also contact Wouter because he's really present in this community and is a great facilitator. Thank you very much, Wouter.
Thank you. Thank you for being here, guest in this podcast. And thanks a lot.
And see you very soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't hesitate to contact our guest. You will find all the information in the show notes. And hey, if you like the content of There's a Workshop for That, please give it 5 stars on your podcast app. And you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, La Workshopeuse. Also, I'd love to read your comments, suggestions of guests, or any question you have. For this, use the form called Hey Natty in the show notes. And until our next episode, I wish you good health, success, and lots of happiness. Au revoir!